Everything's coming up to Timberwolves. Yeah, in the zone. Simple dedication to the team when you're in the know. To Timberwolves. Yeah, in the soul. Lifting all the positivity for the Wolves to grow. So, where we going from here, man? We listen week to week to get the clearest to clear. Recaps, got that. Soundcap, got that. Team ads, got that. So tell me what they do not have, huh? How dare you? Foolish question to ask, but I don't mean to go brag. But boy, they got all the stats, and they could go all the way back from KG to Zerbiak. And all I'm saying is that the cast a one-stop shop for my Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Ain't a thing falling, everything's coming up. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Falling from the autumn, ain't nobody gonna stop them. It's the Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Phonies, you can spot them, they the sheep under their clothes. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Talk a lot about them, y'all don't really know. Let's go.
Welcome in to another Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on here. We're just soaking in the playoff loss and everything, but we are here to talk offseason, and we are joined by a whole cast of characters, a full lineup tonight, and we'll start with Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. I'm excited for this group of people. Bunch of fun guys, some differing opinions, I hope, and we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. So we'll start to introduce some of them. We'll start with here, Elroy, the Alchemist. How you doing, Elroy? Oh,
we lost some sound.
Muted. I'm here. My
okay.
bad.
He's back.
Hey, I'm good. Wolves all day. Let's go.
That's
Great.
right.
Excited to get it going.
Absolutely. And you are in Minnesota, right? That's where you're located? Or?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I know
Paul.
the next person is on one of the coasts, I believe. Timothy Hunt. We've had him on the show before, but he's back. Timothy, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Just glorious day here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it's a nice day here in Minnesota as well. So
yeah,
absolutely.
no, excited to talk about my Wolves.
Absolutely.
Right.
And also joining us, he's been on the show before, Davionte. Davionte, how you doing?
Good. How everybody doing? Good. Excited to talk about the Wolves with you guys.
That's right.
And also joining us, Reggie Legendary. Reggie, how we doing?
I'm all right. Coming from Memphis 10, enemy territory.
Okay. Enemy territory over there.
Yeah, it's been a rough 2 weeks over here for you guy right now, man.
Question for you, do you, like, when the Wolves when they're not playing, do you root for Memphis when, like, they're not playing the Wolves?
I like to see the city happy. So I'll go to the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's always a good time for the city. Am I pulling for them in this Golden State series, though? Nope.
Well, you're probably going to get your wish because it's 3-1 and Jaw's out. So
yeah,
I know they play well without Jaw, but
I don't see them last night.
Yeah, I don't see them taking 3 in a row without their best player. And as always, we got Jared Good. Jared, how we doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. Beautiful weather out here in Minnesota. Nothing better than sitting down with a group of guys talking Wolves on a Tuesday night, man. You can't beat it.
Absolutely. So, like it says on the preview card, we are here to talk off-season a little bit. We can get into a little bit of your playoff implications as well, talk a little playoffs as well. But we wanted to start the show with basically your plan for the off-season for the Wolves. And Chris, since this was your idea, I figured you would start us off. What's your plan for the Wolves this off-season? We'll start with you, Chris.
Well, first I just want to kind of preface it by what's happened so far, like how the season went. You know, I think the season went pretty well. I mean, we doubled our wins. It was the first full year under Finch. So I remember in the preseason, they said they really only worked on defense. They didn't even really put in much offense. And we went from, you know, bottom of the NBA in defense to, you know, top 15. I think we finished at 13th. Offense, you know, number one scoring team, which was, you know, pretty impressive, or at least throughout the second half of the season, we were number one. So I was just happy with the way that everything kind of molded. But at the end of the year in the playoffs, it really kind of showed that we still had roster holes, in my opinion. And it wasn't so much effort. It wasn't. I mean, there were close games, and we could have definitely won them, but I'm kind of glad we didn't because we needed to handle the whole situation with our roster. And if we would have beat Memphis, maybe we would have not taken a look at some of the skeletons that are in our closet. So I'm going to get into that right now. So what I would like to see, and you know, it's kind of hard to think about what they're really going to do opposed to like what's kind of like a fantasy world or like a 2K world. So I want to keep it kind of realistic. I'm going to start with the elephant in the room, which is D'Lo, and I'm going to say, you know, I don't think there's any reason to trade him because I don't think there's a market for him. I don't think we're going to be able to get much value for him in return. I know a lot of people will come back and say, well, you know, well, he's going to want a max contract. You know, are you going to pay him a max contract? How can you afford that? Or why would you do that? And my answer is, I'm not going to pay him a max contract. He's a restricted free agent. Like it or not, the way that this professional sports world works is when you're restricted, that team owns your rights. So unless there's some other team that's willing to give him a max after next year, which, I mean, unless he blows up, I don't see that happening. We've got the right to match whatever offer he can find or his agent can find. So, you know, if he comes back with a 15, 16, 17 million dollar offer only, well, we just match that. And now that's his salary, like fair market price, you know? So I'm not worried about him. I think he's definitely not a $30 million guy, but I don't know who we're going to have at point guard other than him. You know, everyone wants to say trade him, but I want to hear who your plan is. But who I want to trade or the moves that I want to make is we've got $10 million for the mid-level exception, and we've got some pieces we can move. And in a perfect world, I would move Malik Beasley, who I like, but I would move Malik Beasley to the Orlando Magic in a sign and trade for Reggie's guy, Mo Bamba. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one defensive player this year, Rudy Gobert. Let's talk about Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert averaged 14 and a half rebounds, 15 points, 2 blocks, and 7 steals. If you add Vanderbilt's 25 minutes a game and you add Mo Bamba's 25 minutes a game, so that's your full power forward right there, 48 minutes. Now you add those together and it comes to 16 rebounds, about 2 blocks, about a steal and a half, and 17 points. So basically you're getting Rudy Gobert production with those two guys. Obviously, Rudy's not playing 48 minutes. He's playing 35, so I get it. It's a little off. But you're getting near Defensive Player of the Year candidate production out of, you know, maybe $14 million worth of players, $15 million worth of players. And you've now got a mobile guy that can protect the rim in Mo Bamba and still shot, what, like 38% from three on 4 3-pointers a game. So he can still step out and hit the three, can still stretch a defense. He only took 9 shots a game, so it's not like this guy's a chucker that's going to be taking people's shots away. So he's used to playing with another big. He played with, Wendell Carter all year. So it's not like he's going to be out of sorts playing next to Cat. So I would like him either in that sign and trade, if would be perfect because they need shooting down in Orlando. And then if we can, my mid-level exception idea, which is kind of a hot take, is Dennis Schroeder.
Ooh,
I think
I
if we
like that.
bring Dennis Schroeder in, that little guy can get to the rim on anybody. He's quick. He can get to the rack. He shoots, 35% from 3. He's not like an amazing shooter, but he's going to come in. He's going to spell D'Lo or play next to D'Lo and add another play creator, add another guy that can get to the rim. And this is a guy that isn't going to cost us too much, I don't think. Like, I don't think he's going to cost you much more than $6-7 million a year. Or even if it's all the way up to 10, that's fine. Dennis Schroeder I'm talking about. So now we've got a backup that's better than, J-Mac. I don't hate J-Mac, but, J-Mac to me is a third string guy, a change of pace kind of guy.
Mhm.
So now if we have Mo Bamba and Dennis Schroeder as our two additions, we keep pretty much everybody else there. And you've sealed up your rebounding, you've sealed up your rim protection, and you've sealed up your guard play. That's kind of the realistic move I would do. And then let D'Lo play it out, and you match, you match whatever contract he gets next year. Um, in a crazy fantasy world, I would really keep an eye on Portland, because all this new Zach LaVine being asked, or Chicago maybe not maxing out Zach LaVine talk. There's a lot of talk about him going to Portland. And now that they locked up their GM full time, he said he wants to build around Damian Lillard. So they're going to want, senior guys. They might not want to lock up Anthony Simons. And that's a guy that I would love to have on this roster. But he's going to cost a near max. So then you got to get tricky. So
Right.
I'm not saying we're going to be able to make a play for him, but I'm saying that's somebody that if things get squirrely and he's a free agent or gets to be a free agent, then I'd be willing to make some moves with D'Lo. But other than that, I don't see a point guard coming back that's going to get us to the playoffs.
Also, on that note, I would love to be able to sing at the top of my lungs Mo Bamba at every home game. That would be fantastic.
Always,
I'd love to do that.
There's always benefits to everything.
Absolutely. So let's off-season plan. Let's go to Elroy. What do you think? What would you do?
Wow, man, love it. I love a lot of your plan, Chris. It's not in line with my plan, I'd say.
That's fine.
That's good.
But you know what I'm saying? It'll work out. I can dig it. So my reflection is like just on the season. Everybody's out here up Cat's ass, man, and just upset, wanting to trade everybody on the whole damn team. I was definitely up my man's, a little bit because of his playoff performance, which was real. He just kind of didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? Like if your average is supposed to go up 5 points, his went down 2-3 points or something like that. I think his went down 5. He averaged 20 during the playoffs. So I get it. I get where people are coming from. That's definitely where I'm coming from. You want to see your stars, increase. So, but I'm not trying to trade Cat or nothing, right? No, I'm not trying to do that. Actually, I'm really not trying to trade anyone at all. So this is the first part of my offseason plans. For a simple reason. Like, if you think about what this franchise has been through over the course of the last, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, just keep going back. It's just completely unstable for the last 10, 15 years. There's been no stability. And I question whether or not Cat's a second option even, right? But even questioning that, I think Cat's more of a third option. Even questioning that, I still wouldn't put my man through like more turmoil, more turnover. Seeing his homie D'Lo get traded after having such a successful season, I think that's a short leash. That's not the message that anybody in management wants to send or in the front office wants to send. So that's my main message of my whole offseason plan. Trade absolutely no one.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that, I wanted to see us make moves for in the past. I wanted to see us make a move for Marcus Smart with Beasley. Before Boston caught fire, that was a realistic possibility. Boston was looking to shop. There's a lot of guys out there that I think we could have had that would have made this team better. But now that we've gotten to where we've gotten, right, I'd say, just don't even mess with it. So my other reflection is the team's kind of my big 3 takeaways from the year. 1, offensive production, despite not having a real facilitator on this team, is crazy. Like, D'Lo is a good point guard, but he is not a natural facilitator, and he's not. Like, I was thinking he was one of the better passers in the league. He's not. He's just not. You're looking at, when you look at guys like Jokic, when you look at guys like Simmons, when you look at all these guys who can make any pass from anywhere on the floor, It's just he's not that level yet. So we really didn't have a facilitator on this team, and that's kind of crazy that we had the production that we had without one. Despite being undersized, there are times where we were running 3 dudes on the floor at the same time who were all under 6'5". Crazy to be that offensively productive while being that undersized. I'd say the other thing is our first option. Ant took the most shots on the team, and he's in his 2nd year. Another kind of crazy. You don't see that very much. You don't see teams being that offensively productive under these circumstances. So I think that's a crazy blessing we got as a squad. My second takeaway is defensive production, completely undersized. And there's a time where we went weeks with being the number 1 defense in the league. That's, again, it's like, man, without a true center, right? Starting two guys who had a reputation for being bad defenders. Right. Not just like by the numbers, they're known as bad defenders by other dudes. Like that's kind of crazy, man. And then the third takeaway that I'd say from the season is coaching, man. Finch, I can't say enough about the job Finch has done to be able to go to get the buy-in that he has, to be able to adjust this team's attitude the way he has, like to go from straight up having almost no backbone as a team to being one of the toughest teams in the league in terms of like our ability to turn things around. Like, so he really built that attitude within our team, as well as Pat Bev, obviously. And then the 2 other things that I think people don't think about, because we always think about like the toughness, but we don't think about how prepared this team was every single game to compete, and we don't think about how consistently they did it. And that's crazy coaching energy, man. Like Finch is the real deal. He's not perfect. He made some mistakes, but he's my guy, and I'm behind him all the way. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I got some stuff for changes. I don't know if should I keep going?
Yeah. You want, why don't? Well, I was just gonna say maybe we go to someone else and then we can come back with that.
Bet.
All right. Yeah. One thing I did want to say about Finch, it seems like he is not afraid to say when he makes a mistake. Like, for example, he was talking about the timeouts in Game 3 in the playoffs. He was like, "Yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, I think we all make mistakes." So I like that. So it sounded like Reggie wanted to respond in your offseason plan as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you guys talking, and like the Mo Bamba situation.
Yeah.
And we got the market already on skinny guys in the post that can't maintain down there already. We don't need any more skinny guys that can't hang out in the post, man. We got enough big men jump shooters. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna pass on Mo easily. But he, so I do see where you're going with it though. He's just 23 years old, so so he's still got time to grow and develop. That was a lot of a problem with our team this year, was that they're real young. I don't like using that excuse though, because Beverly, Ant, and Pat are all like over 25, 26, 33. So they know better. You know what I'm saying? Vanderbilt, McDaniels, Ant, say, okay, we can use it for them. But for the other guys, that's just, they had no excuse for being dumb. Finch did a great job all year. I wasn't on his neck about being able to coach. The only reason I was on their neck was about how he was brought in. That's a topic for another day. He did a great job. Never doubted his ability. I just didn't like the way how they brought him in. So he's all right.
The back door, no lights on.
Yeah, hey. He wet the bed in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He wet the bed in the playoffs, but the whole team did. So the whole team wet the bed in the playoffs. It was a great run. Like Chris said, they doubled their wins from last year, but I think that had more to do with being healthy than anything. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was healthy this year, so that was a great effort from them. Vanderbilt, salute to him, because he played way better than I expected. Way better than I expected. 22 years old. I still think we need a starting power forward. Now, who we bring in for that's up for discussion, because there's going to be some vet guys out there that I like, but so they're not big names. Like Nick Batum, he's free agent this year. You just need you need the savvy vet, come off the bench, or he can start some places. Boucher from Toronto. If you're gonna go for skinny big man, let's go for skinny big man that got some, that can actually play.
He's really skinny. Boucher,
he
he's really skinny.
Really skinny. He's really skinny. So I mean, the biggest thing I want to see them do this offseason, hit the weight room. Like, hit the weight room, eat some peanut butter, do something. You know what I'm saying? Got to be able to, hang out down there. Cat, I was on his neck more so about he put up the nice, you look at the stat sheet, the numbers say he played well. But when everything's going, all the chaos and everything's going on, hey, man, you got Dylan Brooks and Bane on you. Go to the post. Go to the post, you know what I'm saying? Take the double team. You know what I'm saying? You take the double team, you make the pass. It's simple basketball at times.
And if any of the Timberwolves need some working out advice, talk to my man Reggie, because this guy's arms are bigger than my thighs.
Getting back in there, baby. You know what I'm saying? Summertime is coming. Summertime is coming. But yeah, it's just, it's things like that. I don't want to see D'Lo traded because I don't think you have any moves out there that make you significantly better next season. Not for another point guard. I don't think there's anybody available that's going to make the team better next year for us. I'll just talk about Levine and everything, but then you're still missing a point guard. I'd like to see a situation where McDaniels steps up a little bit and he becomes a small forward, pushes Ant to 2, and then we can push Beverly to the bench to play 25 minutes a game instead of having to force him to play some more.
Yeah, for sure. It sounded like, Chris, you had a comment, then we'll go to Elroy, and then we'll keep it going.
Well, just quick on Cat. The thing about Cat is he's so long-legged that I don't think he physically has the ability to post up many people. So when it gets like that late in the game, it's so easy to take away a 7-footer that stands at the 3-point line and isn't strong enough to body a guy like Dylan Brooks. Like, Dylan Brooks is probably really hard for him to post up because he's short and thick. And when you got those long, like giraffe legs, it's hard to really move a guy back. I don't know. He just doesn't do it. Like, Cat never gets deep post. So
that's why I say weight room.
I think it's
legs this summer.
It's either weight room or we're going to have to realize that he is pretty much offensively a small forward and he's just the size of a center. Like, we're going to have to understand to stop even looking at him like a center and look at him as just a small forward, which is kind of how he plays.
And then Elroy, you had something?
Yeah. I think I echo everything you just said, Chris. Completely agree. He's gonna have to keep hitting the weight room. I mean, he made big progress last year. You guys remember when he came in last year in the picture? Like, he's way more ripped than the year prior to that. So, like, he did work a lot. I could see him coming back even stronger. But that's enough. I just wanted to kind of echo what Reggie was saying. This team is without a point guard, man. Like, we need facilitation so bad. When you think about Ant's efficiency, when you think about D'Lo's efficiency, I mean, pretty much every guy down the line is in dire need of a facilitator. The only guy I could see, I think Cat would put up legendary numbers with a solid point guard on the squad. There are times where I watched playoff games and I was absolutely livid because D'Lo was slowing down our offense in times where we needed to push it. He was missing outlet passes in times where he needed to hit the outlet pass. And I mean, so that really leads me to my big next point, which is this one. This is like one of my biggest beliefs. We got to draft. We got to find a PG in the draft. There's kids are coming out ready to play. They're coming out multifaceted. When you talk about, is there somebody that can replace D'Lo in the draft? I would say absolutely, probably all the way down the line, first or second round, right? There's dudes that I've been looking at. This kid from, say what?
Ty from Kentucky or whatever his name is.
I haven't seen him, but I was looking at Jordan Hall from St. Joe's actually. 6'7", crazy passer, crazy passer, terrible defender, right? He can't guard. He's not going to guard anybody. But is that a downgrade really from D'Lo? No, it's not. I mean, D'Lo's limited defensively. He's a big guard who has defensive limitations. Well, this kid's the same thing, except for he passes like Ben Simmons, right? Mm-hmm. Except for he shoots, or he's probably right around the same efficiency from the three as D'Lo. But when you have somebody whose main goal is to just get other guys open, I mean, you can't place enough value on a squad like ours with so many guys who depend on it.
I'm actually, and I'll throw it to Timothy next, but I actually want to throw a name out there who's going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's got some Wolves ties. He's got some Minnesota ties. What if we throw some money at like Tyus Jones? I mean, as him, just to play pure point guard. We don't need him to score that much. We already got 3 scorers. He can kind of play the role plus a little bit more than he did with Ja Morant, but that's just an idea. Timothy, what'd you have? You wanted to add something?
Yeah, so I might have an idea there for his big point guard, but I'll go to that in a second. My thoughts of the year, I thought we probably would finish about the 7th seed. We did. My main thing this year was seeing how Finch would do, and man, he really made a few bumps in the road, but overall I couldn't be happier with the coach we have, especially with the way Saunders was last year. Just was not a big fan of him. Improvement with some of the guys. I saw some improvement with Cat throughout the regular season at least. I've always been really hard on him as far as his mentality and the complaining and whining with the refs and all that. But he seemed to, at a certain point, I don't know if it's Pat Bev getting to him or coach or what, but he seemed to kind of stop. But then the playoffs came around and he was right back at it. And it just.
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, no.
No.
We will troubleshoot that and see. Oh,
sorry.
He's still here.
Yeah, I hit something.
We're back. Okay, we're back. We're good.
Yeah, anyways,
continue with what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so playoffs came around. He regressed back to what he was doing. I have faith Cat can hopefully get it together. I'm not trying to trade him. As far as D'Lo goes, like Chris said, I just don't think there's a market for him. We have him for another year. Might as well let it ride. And if we can keep him for less money, so be it. If not, we'll make some plans from there. I haven't looked too heavy into the draft class this year, but there is a guy out of this college you guys may have heard of called Wake Forest. We've produced a lot of stars, a lot of star point guards too. You got the Chris Pauls, the Jeff Teagues, but there's this guy. We might not even have to draft him. We could probably get him as we can sign him after the draft. His name is Alondes Williams. He's a big body point guard. Dude can get to the rim like no other, and he's a really good playmaker. He's and the best thing about him is he's 23 years old. He's ready to come in and play. He's not there's not much more development he's going to need. I would personally have him on the team over somebody like
Noel.
Yeah, Noel. That's where I was going. But my main concern for the roster is we're gonna have to figure out. I think Josh Koji's gone this season, right?
Yeah.
I loved him for his first few seasons, but we need to free up some space. Hopefully we can move on from Layman and I don't think Balmaro is. I think we send him back to Iowa for a little while, but. We just need to free up some roster space. Hopefully, we can bring in at least one guy. I'm open to trading Beasley for somebody to kind of fill that power forward role. I love Jared Vanderbilt. He's been I was ready to cut him last season, but I love the hard work and just grittiness he brings to the floor every night. But he's not a starting power forward, and we need somebody to kind of share those minutes with him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's see, Reggie, you had a point for the point guard talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about the point guard play and how D'Lo's not a pure point guard. So you don't win with pure point guards anymore. I think we've noticed that. You can't be just strictly pass first. You can't be just all offense either. You got to be a mixture. So the typical point guard that wins a title usually averages around 16 and 7. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to win with Steve. That's D'Lo. You're not going with Steve Nash. Jason Kidd you either win with like a Jason Kidd when he was just a 3-and-D point guard, or you win with like a Tony Parker type. You know what I'm saying? 16 and 7 or
Rondo.
3-and-D. Yeah. Well, Rondo had 3 Hall of Famers around.
Yeah, that's true.
You got 3 Hall of Famers starting with you. You know, it's
But when he was with the Lakers, he did pretty good. Yeah, he said.
Yeah. What he had with him, he had LeBron
He had Bron
and AD right there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I'm like with D'Lo, you're not gonna get the pure point guard play. You're not gonna make the passes like Jokic. You gotta live with some of his words. They had to play smarter. That's it. It's like I don't think they ever figured out who their guy was and what his best play was. That's what it seemed like to me, and it seemed like okay, that's something they got to figure out next year. Like I think I need to see more. Ant and Cat pick and rolls. I need to see those two getting involved more of each other.
Right, absolutely. So I saw some ideas in the chat. Regional superfan who's with us every week, he suggests Alfred Payton.
I don't mind him.
You don't
He's
mind
like
that?
a black Ricky Rubio. And I love Ricky Rubio.
Exactly.
And you hate
exactly. Yeah.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I don't like Alfred Payton, and I do not like Ricky Rubio. Rubio. You know what the worst part about Alfred Payton is that remember when you had that
hairstyle.
That was my favorite part. That taxidermy on his head.
Man, no.
I want to talk about for Reggie for 1 second with D'Lo. One thing that we do have to understand with D'Lo this year is this is the first year he's moved to like third fiddle, and he moved to third fiddle in the middle of the year. They didn't really know what was going on with Edwards, if he was going to take over and be like an alpha or not, and he forced his way to be the alpha. And there was definitely some crossplay between D'Lo and Edwards, that there was some uncomfortableness. And a lot of it ties to D'Lo. This was his contract year. So he wanted to have a huge year so that he can cash in and sign his max contract. So if you're looking to sign a max contract, a guy that's been on multiple teams, hasn't felt any loyalty from a team yet, he's obviously looking out for himself, and I don't blame him for that. So when they're saying, hey, you're going to be mainly a facilitator now, which he had his highest career assists per game of his career this year. So they're like, you're going to be mainly a facilitator, and you're going to have to take a back seat offensively to this 20-year-old kid. I'm sure there was some friction there. I'm sure that wasn't so smooth, especially after an offseason where admittedly we didn't work on offense and putting in much for the scheme on offense at all. So it was still kind of figuring it out on the fly. So, I mean, he's a vet, kind of. I get that, and he should be able to overcome that. But it's definitely something that I think came into play some.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's go to Jared for his off-season plan. Sorry, it's been a little bit, Jared, but you go ahead now.
Oh, all good. I always have new guests on Talk Hoops as always. But I think the knee-jerk reaction is people are pissed off that we go farther in the playoffs. I thought we could. Obviously, I think everyone in the room will agree, because we're better for 5 out of the 6 games. So that's where it gets kind of frustrating. But at the same point in time, like the knee-jerk reaction is to trade D'Lo because he's bad. And he did not play, and I'm one of the biggest D'Los that there is. But the biggest question, and it's been brought up a couple times, is who are you going to replace? Like, that is a big thing in the NBA. You don't just grow point guards out off the street. Like that's not a thing. I think a lot of people that like are casual fans, because there's a lot of them in Minnesota. A team makes a playoff, so like, all right, yeah, well, here we go, and that's just kind of Minnesota ways. But I think with D'Lo, I would offer him and see what's full, but I wouldn't make a bad trade. Like it's just like if something to your mind, I mean, I think you explore, but at the same point in time, am I going to trade him and tie a pick to him? I mean, probably not. One guy that I had in mind, and I think this is kind of like my knee reaction. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, is Kevin Porter Jr. That's a player that I really, really like. I think that you'll have to tie a pick to it though. So I think that's where it gets kind of murky because you have to have some salary match. And, obviously some lesser players like David Nwamba and Eric Gordon come back on that deal. I did it on the trade machine the other day. So I think you'd have to tie a pick. But D'Lo, the thing is, like we say, as Timberwolves fans, we've seen success 2 times in the past 20 years. And this was a successful – our over-unders preseason in Vegas was 33.5. We won 46 games. Like that is a successful season. You can't tell me that successful season, how it panned out in the end. But other than that, I mean, I think our biggest – I like what Chris is going with the Mo Bamba thing, and it has a lot to do with I think Jared Vanderbilt has earned the respect to deserve minutes on this team. I expected a lot less for Belt going into the season, and the dude plays hard. He hustles his ass off, and he's just an edgy guy. I loved what Jared Vanderbilt did this season. Was it perfect? No. I mean, obviously he's an offensive liability, and we talked about that all year. But at the same point in time, the dude has busted his ass to be where he's at today. And I think that point, if you're going to be a successful franchise, you have to reward a guy like that. To me, a guy that comes to mind is Jay Crowder. Like Jay Crowder busted where he was at, and he was a good player, and he still is. He's on a championship contending team. The last thing I just want to talk about, look at the point guards that left in the NBA, in the NBA playoffs right now. Kyle Lowry, who's probably the worst. Marcus Smart. I would consider James Harden more of a point guard than Matthew. But regardless, they're both, quality players. You got Drew Holiday, Chris Paul, Curry. All these guys on this list. Tom Morant before he got hurt. All of these, Luka Doncic, all these guys that are high quality players. Like, you need a good point guard. You can't mortgage the farm and say, okay, J-Mac's our point guard this year. Like, I love Jay, and he's much like Vanderbilt to me, but when you play yourself into a role, like, you can't just like bring in 3 other guys and say, okay, sorry, J-Mac, last year was great, but screw you. Like, that doesn't work in organizations. Mac needs to have the backup role. And if it's D'Lo at the starting point guard, I think a lot of us in the room will be fine with that. I think it's just such a knee reaction to say we need to get rid of him.
Yeah, interesting. Elroy, it sounds like you gotta get going, but final thoughts, or you gotta go ahead.
I wanted to let my man Davionte go quick because I want to hear what he's got to say, and then I was trying to squeeze in right after him. I got 5 minutes.
All right, so basically,
let's hear it.
You guys are a lot more optimistic than me. So I personally would make trades, and it's just because if we look at the standings, it's gonna get harder and harder next year, especially. Both teams, we got to remember, both teams in LA missed the playoffs. Next year, when Claude comes back and the Lakers, they make their trades, they're making the playoffs. And then too, so we look at it, we're not gonna be better than the Suns. Grizzlies was 2 seed, Warriors. You look at the Mavs, you look at the Jazz, you look at the Nuggets, they're going to be healthy with MPJ and Murray back. Then, you look at the Pelicans, they made the 8th seed without no Zion. So, like, it's kind of like we kind of got lucky, sort of. I'm not going to say, it was pure luck, but it's kind of like a lot did go our way. if we're being honest, like a lot did go our way. So when we see all these teams healthy and we see both LA teams in the playoffs next year, we're going to be looking from the outside in, sadly. That's just my opinion. So when you were saying, all we need is Dennis Schroeder and Mo Bamba, I don't think that's going to put us over the top of teams like Memphis, Phoenix, and stuff like that. So me personally, I feel like, we're like one move away from being the championship contention that I hopefully think we could be. I feel like we're in the same spot that Phoenix was in when they left the bubble. They had a good year. They went into the offseason aggressive. They didn't think, we don't really need to make any trades. They went to go get Chris Paul, and that put them over the top. And I feel like if we find a way to get Dame, that he could be our Chris Paul. He could put us over the top, and we could hopefully, be the title contender. I just don't think if we run it back with the same group, and we have Pat Bev and we have D'Lo and all of them playing, like the 60 games that they did, because D'Lo, he's really injury prone, so it's kind of like we got lucky with him playing all the games he did, and I honestly think he played all those games because it was a max contract year. But with that being said, I just feel like we run it right back. It's kind of like we're either going to get the same result or we're going to get less due to the fact that we have all these teams that are going to be coming back. Like both LA teams are going to make the playoffs. You have Zion coming back to the Pelicans. We went in the regular season. We went 2-2 with them. With Zion playing, with Zion and CJ McCollum in them now, we probably wouldn't even have won a game. Would have got hammered inside, Then, you got the Nuggets, 6th seed. They don't even have both their top guys. So that's all I basically have to say. I just feel like, if we run it back, it's kind of like don't be surprised if we're looking from outside in.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Elroy, quick response because I know you got to go.
We're better than the Lakers next year, regardless of who they trade for. We're better than Denver. We always have been better than Denver.
No, okay, so they were
Denver next year.
They were the 6th seed, and they didn't have no MPJ, no Murray. So
we're still better than Denver next year.
They had a higher seed than us.
I promise you, will. I'm just saying. Listen, my reasoning behind it is this. This Wolves team beat Denver regularly when they were coming up before we traded Levine and Wiggins. The team that we have now, in my opinion, is a better defensive team and a better offensive team. In my opinion.
How can we get a higher seed than them when there was no MPJ, no Murray? Like that. That's just.
Listen, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. They're a tough team. They play well. I just think that next year when we bring our pieces back, we have a year playing together. Right? They had consistency of the same coach, the same star, the same offense. We have none of that. I think once we get to the point where we can have that type of consistency, then you'll see Ant take off, average 28. You'll see Katz become even more efficient. You know what I mean? Get over some of his issues. I think we McDaniels, Nas, we have a lot on our roster, and I think that people will be surprised how good it matures. But that's it. I got to get off. I'm getting work messages. Thank you, guys.
All right, awesome. Thank you, all right. You're great.
Bro.
Hey.
All right.
Have a good one, all right. All right, so we'll move to Chris, and then we'll go to Reggie. Chris, go ahead.
So I hate the idea of bringing Lillard here, just because I think he's a terrible point guard. I think he's a really good. I put him and Kyrie Irving together, and I actually hate both of them as point guards. I think neither one of them will be a winning point guard on anybody. I mean, I know that Kyrie has a ring, but I mean, that was 100% LeBron's ring that he, hit a shot for. And he's a good shooter. He's a great shooter. The problem is that's all he tries to do. So if you want to run ISO ball nonstop, then yeah, maybe Dame and maybe Lillard are great, or Dame and a guy like Kyrie is great, but that's not what I want to see. But that doesn't matter. I'm taking your idea. So I could see Portland maybe doing that, because if they want to, they've got the number 1 pick this year, right?
Hasn't been decided yet. They've
got the chance for top 4 at the worst or something like that. So then they've got Anthony Simons, who I love. I love that kid. 99th percentile in spot up shooting, like 95th in pull up. like 99th percentile in pick and roll. I think he can be a point guard of the future. I think he can be an all-star point guard. So I could see them trading Dame, taking D'Lo because it's an expiring contract, and next year they would have like 60 million after next year in like cap space where they could build whatever they want around that young talent. So I don't hate that idea. I don't think that the new GM is going to do it. I think they're going to try to build around Dame. At least that's what he's saying. So I think he's going to go the opposite and try to go older. But I mean, I see it as a plan, and it would definitely put us probably over the top. But bringing in a guy like Lillard, I think completely truncates the growth of a guy like Anthony Edwards, and takes his ability away, because he's a ball hog. Lillard's a ball hog. And that's not what we need with Anthony Edwards trying to develop his own on-ball persona. So I'm not into it, but I see what you're saying, and I think it would definitely push us up to a higher seed. I just think that a team run by Dame Lillard, myself personally, I think will always top out at like a 4 seed. I don't think they're ever going to be good enough to win a title.
I will say they did not win a title. They
made
did
the Western Conference final. I know.
Yeah, they did. They did make one, but that was with CJ. And,
yeah, CJ helped a lot.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of things went their way that year. But either way, I just don't.
Dame never played with an all-star or caliber player next to him, or no defensive player of the year next to him.
Because he takes all the shots. Nobody can be an all-star with him.
But no, if you put him on the same team with Ant and Cat, I promise you, and then you just add like 2 defensive players around them, like Pat Bev and Vando, I promise you, like, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of staying put. Like, I always feel like you should look to improve. If you don't look to improve, then what are you doing? No,
I get you.
So I just feel like, yeah, we can make small moves, but like I just feel like the small moves, like the Schroeder and Bamba, you're saying, like that's in all honesty, that's not gonna put us over the top of a Phoenix team.
Not next year.
I know, but I'm just saying next year though, like we should.
I'm looking 5 years.
Yeah, I know. Nah, I'm just saying like you should look to get over the top like how Phoenix did though. Like,
yep.
That's
if only Chris Paul was available.
Yeah, that's like I think the best players you have available like for free agents this year. I think Levine's the top guy, and it's rumors of him wanting to go to Portland. So it's like Dame and Levine together. It's a good little start right there. Like I disagree with you wholeheartedly about Dame not being a good player though. Yeah, that's wild right there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't say he's not a good player. I didn't say he wasn't a good player. I said he's a bad point guard.
How?
He's a shooting guard. It's like Kobe Bryant running point for you.
All right,
most of your point guards these days are like part-time shooting guards. So, you know what I'm saying? Like again,
I don't like it.
Tony Parker wasn't a pure point guard, but
look at
they played through the post though. That's different.
I mean, Steph ain't a pure point guard. Draymond's more the point guard than Steph.
I feel you.
Then, so if you say LeBron was a point guard,
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like Luka, Harden. Like you're saying, these are guys.
Harden's not a point guard. Harden's a shooting guard that only passes when all other options fail.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the D'Antoni system. He's a product of the D'Antoni system with all those crazy numbers. So I'm not a fan of that. But I should call him a shooting guard, but I know he plays more point guard than anything.
Oh, and I'll throw it to Jared and Timothy in a second here. But I was looking at free agents that are this year, and what do you guys think of a name like Jalen Brunson?
It's gonna cost too much.
It costs too much, you think?
Probably 20 mil.
I wouldn't want him starting as my point guard.
Okay. He did do wonders and it shows a lot that they're tied 2-2 right now. That's actually kind of become one of my favorite series is the Dallas one. I didn't think it was going to. But let's go to Timothy. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, while we were talking about raiding Portland for talent, I can't remember if his contract is up. He might be a free agent this year, though, so this might be unnecessary. But what about instead of getting a point guard, what about getting another big man like Nurkic?
He is a free agent, but
He is okay. I couldn't remember if it was this year
he's
or
a free
next.
agent. I don't know if you can put. I don't think you can put another big man next to Cat though, because now you got.
I've always wanted to put Cat at the 4, but it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I understand. Just spitballing.
Yeah, that defense. I think defense becomes an issue then if you put Cat at the 4.
That's true.
They're trying to put him with another real big center. So that's a good. He needs somebody down there to help him with some muscle, but
yeah, we just need somebody to get in the post.
Nah, it's kind of hard to place Cat because he's too slow to guard the other team's 4s, but he's too little to bang down low with the 5s. Right. So it's just kind of a hard spot with him, if I'm being real. But
yeah, he got to get tough.
Such a sick shot.
he got to get tougher to be like Miami. Miami does it with Bam, but Bam's got some. He's got some dog in him. Cat ain't got no dog in him.
Jared, go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, so no, we kind of talked about this a little bit during the season. The Portland Trailblazers cleared a shit ton of cap room at trade deadline time, and I remember myself saying, and I don't know who else said it, but I said Dame Lillard better have some friends because this dude got like $60 million in cap space to work with. So for those that think that LaVine's just going to come home on a cap-ridden team like the Timberwolves and we're just going to make all this money work, it ain't going to happen. Portland and LaVine makes a ton of sense because, like I said, they have all this cap space to work with. It's Dame Lillard and a bunch of G Leaguers, if I'm being completely honest. So they got money to work with. I think I would put the bring LaVine home talk to bed real quick, just because I think not only are we going to have to trade a bunch of guys to make it happen, I don't know. I just see that happening. But one other player that I'm really curious to hear the rest of your guys' takes on is Taurean Prince. This is a guy that's making, I believe, around, it might be $14 million a year, maybe it's $12 million a year.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
This is a guy that I was really high on when we got him because I thought he could play a bunch of minutes in a role where we needed extra minutes to be had between the small forward and the power forward position. I think that I'm okay with letting him walk, which I hate to say because I had really high hopes for him. But at the same point in time, I'm okay with letting most of our bench walk. But I think not only letting them walk, like Beasley's tradable. He's the biggest problem with the Timberwolves is we have guys that are hot and cold. We have to be honest, if I'm being completely honest. Anthony Edwards right now is hot and cold. He can be a superstar in this league, which is kind of why I hate to say it. Like he's going to be really good, but he goes through stretches where he's, shoots 4 for 15, 4 for 17. And then he has a breakout game where he drops 35. Kulo is the same way. He can have 5 points and 10 assists, and other nights he can have 29 points and 3 assists. Very hot and cold player. So I think Beasley, we've seen Beasley score 0 multiple times this season. We've also seen him score 20 plus multiple times, and I think we won every single game when he did. So I don't know. I think it gets to a point where how many of these hot and cold players are you willing to hang on to? At some point, we just need a little bit more consistency, in my opinion. So I would be okay with keeping one of them, but having 4 of them is kind of an issue to me.
Mm-hmm. Chris, go ahead. Chris, you're muted. Hold on. Let's go to Reggie. While we troubleshoot Chris.
Okay. So yeah, DJ, you were talking about letting Prince walk. I think he's one of the key vets that we had on the bench. You know what I'm saying? You need guys like that. Just somebody. He understood his role. He knew what he was supposed to do. He didn't really take too many wild, crazy shots. Too many hero shots. You know what I'm saying? So
he showed up when we needed him to.
Yeah, he did. He he kept calm in a lot of those games, and I think you need something like that. He made 12.6 last year, so I don't know what he's going to ask for in free agency. I don't know if he's trying to get 14, 15 and up or what, but we're going to lose Layman. No loss there. Okoji's going to leave, so, no loss there. We're going to see something. Hopefully we'll see something next year from Bomaro. Know nothing about him, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a rookie year all over for him again. I know somebody mentioned earlier trying to see about getting Tyus, but I think you got that in J-Mac.
Yeah, we got J-Mac.
You got J-Max. I don't think you need Tyus.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, free agency is going to be tough. I don't know who you really can go for, and I don't know what kind of deals. I think it's really going to be like almost a run back kind of year. And I know you don't want to hear that, Davionte, but it's going to be a lot of guys coming back next year. You got to see a lot. You have to think it's a lot of growth from the guys that are 20 to 22 years old. McDaniels and
Nas,
Vandy, Nas. All those guys are 24, 22 years old. So
I think
get better.
Talking about Nas, I almost think that Nas almost made a little bit of a regression towards the end of the year. Like he was not a big factor in the playoff series. You didn't see him get the ball in the post too much and able to do a post move like he was earlier on the season. Chris, is your mic working?
I don't know. Is it?
It is. We can hear you. All right, so go ahead.
Now that you're talking about my guy Nas, I think the coach hates him. I think Finch hates him. So I think that he's very possibly going to be somebody that we're going to move on from, which is not something I like, but I don't think Finch likes him. Davionte, I got a name that I think you might have thrown out as a point guard possibility that I do like. His age isn't my favorite, but Brogdon from the Pacers. That's a guy that is got like kind of like an old man's body and kind of like a boring game. So he doesn't get much press, but he is a killer and he does everything good. Literally there's nothing that he does bad. So that would be a guy that I would be willing to, do a level up at point guard with. And I think that they might be willing to move on from him if they're going to give Halliburton the reins. So that's a guy, because I've been kicking around the D'Lo. I don't hate the idea of trading D'Lo. I don't hate the idea of trading literally anybody. I will trade everybody on my roster I would trade Ant if the deal's right. Like if you told me you're going to give me some crazy deal, like I'm not stuck on anybody because they're all commodities. Unfortunately, I don't know any of these guys. None of them are my family members. You know what I mean? So if you get that's a guy I could think about for bringing back. But I caught Reggie talking about free agents. And what's hard about free agents is we've got 10 mil. 10 mil doesn't buy a lot these days, gas is $4 a gallon, like 10 mil, it doesn't stretch. So we've got the mid-level exception, which I think at the max is 4 years, like 43 million you can give a guy. So, we're talking about less than what Prince was making, less than what, Beverly's making. And to throw a real hot take out there, I would be fine with it and almost prefer if we moved on from Beverly. I wouldn't want to move on from him this offseason, but I would like to move on from him by the trade deadline. And I'm also going to say I think it's actually the plan we have. Because signing a vet like that to a 1-year extension pretty much puts him in another lame duck year, So it's a year that he has no assurance that he's going to be here next year. So he's already in a lame duck year. So I think what we did is we wrote him that check for $13 million, basically saying, thank you for what you did for us. We're guaranteeing you that next year you're going to get paid $13 million, because if he hit free agency, he wasn't going to get 13. So I think what we did was kind of gave him a good faith. We're probably going to trade you, but at least you're going to make 13 million kind of deal.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I agree with that. When right after they extended him, I was like, why wasn't it, for longer? But that goes back to what I was saying. Boston was asking for Beasley and Beverly from what I was reading. It was like Beasley and Beverly for Smart. And like I said, I made a post about it. I would have easily would have did that because Marcus Smart just won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
And he's
back,
a younger Pat Bev to me. Huh?
Yeah, I said, looking back, yeah, I wish we would have done that.
I'm saying, yeah, no, yeah, he's like a younger Pat Bev to me. But
He's got a long contract though. He's got like 5 years
That's
at like
okay.
17 mil.
That's all right.
So, and my last thought about trading D'Lo, it just has to improve us. And I feel like the way how we improve when it comes to our third star is just to be more consistent, because that's one thing D'Lo doesn't do. Like he's not a consistent guy. Like you can't keep saying we can't keep riding. Him and Cass still got potential. Like, bro, dog, you're going to see year 8 now. Like you are who you are at that point. Like you're an inconsistent player. Like that's kind of the cold truth for them. So players I would try to target. The reason why I said Dame is because like look at Portland now. Like there's really not no sense for him to be there. Like they just want a whole garage sale. Traded almost everybody you could think of. It just don't make sense to keep him when you already have a young core. A good pick, Anthony Simons, and Josh Hart, young guy, pieces like that around it. Like what's the point? Another guy I could say is Fred VanVleet from Toronto. I know this is kind of hot take, but I just you look at it, Toronto, they can get back expiring max deal. Also Fred, he also has championship experience that I would like for this team. At the point guard spot, he can also defend. He's also way more consistent. And then my last like dream scenario, it would be like a player like DeJounte Murray to be our third star, but I know that's really not gonna happen. But like you think about it.
You mean the All-Star?
Yeah, I know. If we trade D'Lo, some other pieces.
I do. Oh, he left. I was just gonna say goodbye to Timothy. He had to head off. So, but continue. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, if we trade D'Lo and other pieces for, DeJounte, hopefully that could, even though I know that's like a dream scenario, but he'll bring all NBA defense at the point guard spot. Could be a good facilitator, and I feel like he would just be more consistent for the third star. So all I have to say with that is like if we trade D'Lo, it has to be for someone that guaranteed consistency. Because we see guys that is just too inconsistent. You have Beasley, very consistent and inconsistent. Cat, sometimes inconsistent. D'Lo, really not gonna get nowhere when you have that many question marks. Like you gotta have players that's gonna show up night in, night out. That's the reason why I said Dame first.
Absolutely, Reggie, go ahead.
Yeah, I know to talk about Dame. I've been saying Dame should ask for a trade 2 years ago. I've been saying he should ask for a trade 2 years ago, but he's loyal. He ain't gonna do it. It's foolish if you ask me. I don't know if that $60 million that he's gonna sign for is gonna be worth his happiness.
That $60 million is his loyalty.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how he's gonna be pissed off after it. You see how they did John Wall down there in Houston. So. After they bring in all these young guys, he's not going to compete for a title there. So if he wants to win, he got to get out. And if we look at how they usually do trades, they're not going to send him in conference. They're going to send him to the East Coast. So that's why I don't even think about Dame.
New York, maybe.
He'll go somewhere. I know him. There's always talk about Donovan going to New York, but
yeah.
I know you said you wanted to trade Pat Bev. I don't think you can do it because he's made himself such a fan favorite. You got to dial him back some. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't like seeing him take so many shots. I'm like, the team should have been going at Ja the whole time. Like they should have been hunting Ja on defense and making him work. But it should have been either D'Lo or Ant doing that. So he had the right idea. He just wasn't the guy that was supposed to be doing it.
Right.
And y'all keep wanting to trade Beasley.
I don't want to. He's just the only asset we have.
I know it. Yeah, I know it.
We don't have very many assets.
You're right. You're right on that one. So I get what you're saying. I just wouldn't do it unless it's a no-brainer. Like, when they said for Smart, when it was for Smart, I was like, hey, man, it was nice going.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart, like, he came a long way. I wasn't a fan of him a few years ago, but
same.
He's worked and improved his game. He's He's what you thought Ricky Rubio was going to do.
Nope.
So yeah, that's it right there. So as far as it's like this summer and everything coming around, they learned a lot in that ass kicking.
They
You know,
did.
They learned a lot.
I think it was super important.
It was like there's people here we laugh about it. It was like, yo, Memphis lost that series 4-1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Memphis lost the series.
We were
4-1.
better.
Might have been 5-1.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it was only one game that they just got drilled in. That was game 2. But at every game, you know what I'm saying, it was supposed to be a Minnesota win. So they learned a lot, like I said. So that's why I think even if we just run it back next year, you're going to be better because you're smarter than what you were. And if like Chris said, they didn't work too much on offense this past summer. So, now you still have your defensive principles, and now you can work on a little bit on your offense. You got a little bit familiarity with everybody, and you know what you can and can't do. And if Ant comes back, the player that we're kind of expecting,
Yeah.
But yo, I understand, the familiarity and everyone getting to know each other. But what about like all the other teams, not having all their guys though? Like both teams.
Who's to say they're going to be healthy?
I know. But the thing with the LA team, with the Lakers,
and Clips, no claw the whole year.
But I'm saying are the Lakers really going to be better?
I got to jump in here.
Hold on, wait.
Lakers probably miss the playoffs next year too. They're that bad. Westbrook contract is going to demoralize the Lakers for the next 3 years.
And he's
it's so bad. And he's horrible.
Now,
they have nobody else.
He's on the expiring this year. But I'm just saying
they
got to pay him. They got to pay him like $43 million next year. Like that. That sacrifices your whole team.
Hold on. The Hornets already expressed interest. They already said that.
Yeah, don't believe that. Don't believe that.
But I'm just saying.
Well,
we got the 7th seed. We got the 7th seed, and the 8th seed was a Pelicans team that had no Zion. So they're going to be better than us. That's a hard truth.
Davionte is making a really good point. Like, it's going to be so much better next year. Like, it's not a bad point. It's going to be a lot better.
I totally agree. I totally see the point that he's playing. I mean, even like I know Elroy was saying that the Denver's better than us. I don't know with a healthy Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, I think it's a close race, but I don't know. I do see your point, Davionte. I get what you're saying.
I think what he's
they're not only going to be better.
Go ahead.
Not only are they going to be better, but they're going to be a lot better. Like the 8th seed in the West is going to be a team nobody wants to play. Which that's just how deep it is.
Which brings up the point: why aren't we in the East? Like, why are we not with Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana?
It's hard over there too. The Cavs, they had a really good year.
No, I know. But...
Coach of the year candidate and rookie of the year runner up. They were deep, still missed the playoffs. So like even if we moved over there, like it's not gonna get easier. That's what I'm saying. Right. When you guys say run it back, like you got to factor in a lot went our way. Lot.
Okay, but you see what you're factoring is that they're going to add Zion, but CJ is going to get worse.
That's the thing.
So you're saying, so what you're doing though, you're saying Zion's going to make the Pelicans better, which he will, but CJ is not going to be as good. And you're saying we're just running it back, but we have 4 20-year-olds that are going to improve as well, right? So those 4 guys, our 4 guys are better than New Orleans 4 guys overall. If you say what you're saying,
so we split games. We played them 4 times in the regular season.
Different season.
We played them.
That's why I said they're going to be smarter next year because of how dumb they played this year.
We played them 4 times. We played them 4 times. We lost twice. We won twice, and we got to factor in it was no Zion. Just imagine if Zion plays, bro. We lose on all 4 of them games.
But are we going to be smarter next year?
I got something to say.
It don't matter. We're not going to be better than them.
Go ahead, Chris. What do you got?
All right. So here's the deal. You can't take a guy averaging like Zion average 23 and 10. You can't just add 23 and 10 to the final score and be like, well, they scored 23 more points. That's not how it works. Do you remember how bad Ingram was with Zion? Because Zion They ran everything through Zion, so Ingram was pretty much trash that year because he was not in rhythm, didn't get shots.
Yeah.
Zion, in my opinion, the best thing the Pelicans could do is move him the hell out of there and get some assets in return that work in their system. I think he's going to be a detriment to their actual team, to be honest with you. And then you're talking about health. Everyone's going to be healthy. When was the last time Claw was healthy? Dude, that dude's never healthy. And when he's healthy, when's the last time Paul George has been healthy? When's the last time Anthony Davis has been healthy? Let's not act like everybody's going to have this magic elixir. You know what I mean? Who I am scared about is Denver. They're young. Them cats are young. And if they all get healthy, I think they're the best team in the NBA. But again, I mean, Michael Porter Jr., when's the last time he's been healthy?
I mean, everybody was in the bubble.
He's been hurt since his sophomore year in high school.
Yeah, that back. Yeah, that back.
I mean, I don't think we can just assume everybody's got a magic elixir. But I see what you're saying. We're going to have to improve. Yeah. And that's why we're getting Mo Bamba. Yep.
All right. So I think we'll do final thoughts now, and then we'll wrap it up. We're getting closer to 9 o'clock Central Time, closer to 10 o'clock on the East. I don't know if anyone's here is on the East. Or Davionte, you're probably in Mountain Time, right? In Vegas?
Yeah. I'm 2 hours back from Central Time.
2 hours back. So you're flirting
actually
with
Pacific
right now. So
Pacific, yeah.
Awesome. So let's start with Jared. Jared, final thoughts.
I never thought I'd have a Timberwolves podcast where I talk so much about Damian Lillard and Zion Williamson, but hey, we had one.
Everything's coming up, Pelicans and Blazers.
The thing is about just a real quick parting ways note about Zion is the best thing that the Pelicans can do is not run the offense through him and just let him get rebounds and putbacks, because when he comes back, he's going to change that whole offense if they try to run it through him. So I think that's a big talking point with the Pelicans. And then Damian Lillard, I was going to jump in and say this, but I forgot to last time I was on. They've basically cleared the cap space to say, hey, you want to build this team, build your team. We have the cap space to get whoever you want. Go find your guys and bring them here. You got friends, let's go. So I think that's a big move with Portland. And I think Portland's a really, really key team to keep an eye on in the offseason with all that cap space, because these unrestricted free agents that can go anywhere. If Dame says, hey, come on board, $10 million, you're on the team, Portland's going to sign the check. They're going to say, this is Dame's team. He's going to turn into LeBron. People always say LeBron was the best GM and he could build any team that he want. They're basically doing the same thing with him. They've cleared every possible amount of money that they could possibly have to let him build this team. So that's pretty much what Portland's going to do. But as far as parting ways for the Wolves, hey, man, we weren't supposed to be good this year. A lot of us had high hopes. Maybe that's us being homers. Maybe that's just Minnesota in general. But we won more games than we were expected to, and by a wide margin. The Timberwolves are going to be good again next year. There might be some moving pieces. There might be some new faces. But the bones are Cat, Ant, hopefully D'Lo, but we'll see. It's kind of we'll shop around, and if nothing comes up, bring them back. We'll have three All-Stars and one of the best coaches in the league, and we just got to mature. We're a young team. We say this all the time. The thing that killed the Timberwolves in this playoff series against Memphis was they were immature. They blew leads. They beat themselves. So parting ways for the offseason, everything's still coming up Timberwolves. I think we can absolutely be in the same position next year. Obviously, I'd like to say we're going to be better next year, but, the West isn't getting any easier. It's going to be a tough road for the Wolves, but I absolutely think we can run it back and be in the same situation and put out a good product. Timberwolves are going to be a good team for the next 5 to 10 years coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Reggie, final thoughts.
All right. It's been a great night, guys. Enjoyed this conversation. I think we kind of needed it after that series. Bunch of stomach punches hurt, so it's a good one. I guess I want to see. There's a couple of names I want to throw out there. Maybe see what they think.
Sure.
Colin Sexton. He's a restricted free agent. They don't like him, and they didn't like him too much in Cleveland. So they didn't like him too much in Cleveland. And they just got an all-star season out of Garland. So I don't know if his value went down. I'll like throw a line in the water for him, see what happens.
Yeah.
That might be a move right there. My long-term pipe dream though, Jalen Suggs. I want to see Cole Anthony and Fultz have a great year and make him expendable. And just see. Yeah, take a flyer on him.
I'd love to have Cole Anthony, to be honest with you. Davionte, final thoughts.
All right, so to say what he was saying about Suggs, he had the worst. He was the worst player in the league at one point. If you look at the numbers,
yeah, he probably was.
So,
I won't argue with that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say So my friend, when the Raptors passed on him to take Scotty, he was like, they failed. And I'm like, nah. But one thing about Suggs, even though he's a hometown kid, he's really not like in the league. You have to be like good at something. You have to be known for something. You're shooting, defense, something.
Yeah.
And Suggs, like when you look at him, it's like, what is he really like? He's gonna kill you in that area. It's really not one place in the when it comes to basketball, But my last thoughts, I was just gonna say, I probably would wait until next deadline to make a move, even though I know a lot of Timberwolves fans is gonna be like, oh my gosh, because we didn't make a move last trade deadline. So like the next move we will possibly make will be all the way until like a year and a half since Rosas left. But just so we could get more internal growth and stuff like that. But and two, by next deadline, there's going to be a lot more available, in my opinion. Like a lot more guys is going to be available because that's just how the league works. It's a deadline-driven league. So I probably would wait, but I'm just going to say, in that point too, D'Lo value will be extremely high because teams will know like all we have to do is literally just wait a half or more season, and we could get that $30 million off the books, So yeah, I most likely would wait, even though that a lot of people is going to be mad, even though they were really mad that we didn't make a move last deadline. So that's basically my last thought. But if I have to pick a point guard, I really wouldn't want to go through someone in the draft. I want someone that's experienced and that could more of a facilitator. I know you brought up Sexton, but you think about it, he's coming off a meniscus tear and he's really not a true PG, in my opinion. I feel like the way how the Cavs were rolling is because Garland is a really good true point guard, throwing lobs up to Allen night in, night out, and just making everybody better. And I don't really get that type of vibe with Sexton. I get more of like a score-first mentality type.
Yeah, he's a scorer.
I feel like what we're missing is a pure point guard, someone to get everyone in their sets. And,
Ricky Rubio.
Make sure everyone's rolling. But someone like – so someone like that's on like the level like Chris Paul type. That's why I was saying, but that's it. That's all I really have to say.
All right, Chris, final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, real quick. I do like Colin Sexton a lot, and I know a lot of people don't like him. I don't know why. I haven't watched him enough. I know people say that his teammates hate him. I don't know. He's a dog on defense. He's got a funny little ponytail. I like that. I think he's a solid player. I feel like his arms are too short, which make him look weird on the court, but that's okay. Final thoughts. I give the whole season a B overall. I think we did great. B plus, which for me in school was a real good grade. So maybe some people don't think so, but I think that's good. I think we're just going to keep moving forward, and I think it's going to be a great offseason. We've got a couple things we can do. I'd be surprised if we shake up the world, but we got a good look at who we have. Coach got a good look at who we have. GM got a good look at who we have. We evaluated the talent, and now hopefully we can make intelligent moves. And let's not forget, we've got the 19th pick. I mean, there's some solid guys out there. Like I like that Nikola Jovic, Jovic, out of Serbia, much like the current MVP. I like him. He's like a 6'10" wing that's actually got some wiggle. Like a lot of those Euros are really stiff, like Cat. This dude's got some wiggle to him, so I like that. I like the Baldwin kid, Baldwin Jr. out of Milwaukee, who played terrible, but is supposed to be like a 6'8" knockdown 3-point shooter. I think we need to replace Prince. We need somebody to take that role. So that right there could, if we get one solid bench guy that gives us 15 points every game, that's a huge win. So let's just move forward. And don't forget Mo Bamba.
Absolutely. Well, this is the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And follow us and give us a 5-star review on Spotify so you never miss an episode as well. And it helps us out. And as always, go Wolves.